it's their best chance to beat India in India after a long time. It's easy to say, but it's a different thing when you go out there and try to do it.
Sri Lanka and also Pakistan gave them some false hope.
I can't keep track of all these leagues, Bora. I'm looking forward to watch Test cricket. Welcome to Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast with Vida and Bora. Today, we're going to talk about Women's T20 World Cup in South Africa. Then we'll talk about Women's IPL auction. And we'll talk about Border Gavaskar Trophy, India versus Australia second test starting this week. And England are in New Zealand to play a test series there. And England Lions are in Sri Lanka. There's loads of franchise cricket happening around the world and we can't keep track of everything. So shall we start with T20 World Cup? Sri Lankan women's team won 2 matches already and they are 1 win away from a semi-final berth. So very good start to the World Cup for our women's team.
Yeah, very good start. South Africa women's team, I think following the men's team when it comes to struggling in World Cup tournaments. But Sri Lanka getting 2 good results early up means they've got to win 1 game out of which is going to be some 2 tough games, 2 quality teams out there in New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
But if we can, squeeze one in, we are not far away from a knockout, semi-final. So that's, I think, a good result and good result because we've managed to win without Chamari Atapat being, a highlight. Generally, Chamari is your high scorer of a Sri Lankan win. So there's a few positives coming out from that end, which is a good reflection of women's cricket where their journey is heading towards to.
Yeah. We have never played in a semi-final, so I think this is the best chance we had in all the World Cup. So I'm very excited to see where we'll end up. I can see they're in good spirits. They I think
Scooby-Doo dance.
yeah,
They've got
yeah. Harshita Samarawickrama played a brilliant innings to bring Sri Lanka home against Bangladesh. If you look at the table, Bora, obviously Australia ahead of us with a better net run rate. If we can beat New Zealand, they haven't had the best of starts. They lost both their games. If we can beat them, we are in the semi-finals. So very exciting time for our women's cricket team. Talking about
I think
women,
on the
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, just adding to that, Sri Lanka Cricket announced a small change of small incentive for the players where they've increased the match fees. It's comparatively still low, but still that's a small win for the women's team. It goes a long way. So some of those players, representing the country.
Yeah, I think, well, we put out a tweet about that today, Bora.
Yeah.
If you compare the payment structure of Sri Lanka cricket to Indian cricket team, they are
Yeah.
miles ahead. Like they're getting 10 times more than our women's players. So you said right, like it's a start, but we have to do more. Like if you want to promote women's cricket in Sri Lanka and professional to more girls to play professionally, we'll have to improve because you'll have to at least get close to the international standard of paying players.
Yeah.
I'm not
There,
saying
there's a long way to go with that. We're at three figure match payments when the men's are at 4 figures. So
yeah,
we need to at least go half of what the men's get to the women. So that is miles apart. So just put it into numbers. It's what $3,000 for a T20. So we are paying women's $250. If we can get that to $1,000 mark, I mean that's a big
at
win, and that.
least.
But to get there, we got to understand. Well, I guess there's a bit on the players as well to bring that brand value, performance aspects as well.
Yeah,
Um, but in the recent times, in terms of a commercial point of view, I mean, the IPL's pushing towards women's cricket to find that revenue. Um, as a country in a sport perspective, I think we got to put we I mean, you got to start thinking down that line as well now.
yeah. Funny you mentioned IPL. Women's IPL auction happened a couple of days ago. None of the Sri Lankan players got picked up in the auction. It's a 5 team tournament, and it's only 30 overseas player slots there. That list is dominated by Australian, England, and South African players. So I thought at least 2 or maybe 3 Sri Lankan women's cricketers would get picked, but no, they didn't even know. But you have to understand, like, we've seen this before, even in the men's IPL auctions. The players you think who will get picked, they didn't get picked. Like someone like Dasun Shanak, he hasn't got picked from auction yet. So it is what it is. It's franchise. Basically it's a business, isn't it, bro? It's he,
Yeah, you got brand. I mean, you got to have value on numbers, performance. But I think Chamari was a bit tight to miss out, but there were some good players who miss out as well. You
Inoka.
never know.
Yeah,
Yeah, you never know how it will turn out. There might be opportunities for them to come in at a certain point. Um, but it's set up. I mean, um, how do you say? I predicted the 1 million mark, but none of the players got close.
yeah,
So, I mean, I won't be surprised in the next year. There's a $1 million player there. Like Elisa Healy for once, when I think that was whoever brought them. That's a good
yeah.
win for them.
But she didn't cost them much. Like,
Nah, not a lot at all.
oh,
Um,
Ashley
but
Gardner
now,
and Perry.
yeah, correct.
Yeah,
But you notice there are, like I said, the opportunity is now opening up for uh, coach in administrative jobs in the IPL, in women's IPL is a big boost.
mm,
We see Rachel Haynes, one of the premier Australian women's players, get a gig as a coach. There's a few more marquee players, Charlotte Edwards there as well, who are have been key figures in their playing time.
yeah,
Are now
yeah,
going to be center figures in the IPL. So that's a good transition to be in at world cricket in terms of how that game is expanding there.
yeah, yeah. One thing I noticed is Chennai's absence in the women's IPL for us. So the rivalry of Mumbai and Chennai will shift to Mumbai versus Bangalore, I think. It'll be
Walking out of the auction and looking of the players in the squad, Bangalore or Royal Challengers looks to be a mean team, but um, if you take the men's team hasn't always transitioned in out in the field, so but women's cricket is slightly different. So, but I think they've walked out as one of the strongest teams, which kind of sets them up for the years to come when you've got some good marquee players. Um, and it will transition. Women's cricket will also improve massively from this tournament, which I mean, going by what the IPL in men's cricket has done to international cricket.
yeah. Now we'll keep an eye on that. Let's
Yeah,
stay in India and India playing Australia in the second test this week. First test
yeah.
ended inside 4 days. There's lots of noise about the pitch. even before the game started. I mean, before like 3-4 days before the test match, lots of noise about the pitch. And end of the day, Bora, India went and scored 400 on that pitch. So if it's that bad, can a team score 400? And on the other hand, there's lots of talk about how Australia prepare pitches when Asian teams travel to Australia. Even in this summer's test against South Africa, they prepared a green top at Gabba, and it finished inside 2 days. So you
Yeah,
can't really complain when you it's it's different batting conditions, and well, you have to adjust your game. That's what Test cricket is all about, isn't it?
yeah.
You test your
It's
skill, your fitness, and you adjust to to the conditions to win a game. So I don't see the argument of it's a doctored pitch. I didn't see that on that pitch. What are your thoughts about the pitch there first?
yeah, I think tough conditions to play cricket on, but they knew that scenario. What
Mm.
I think Australia lose in the plot is going with a top opening partnership of two left-handers, and two left-handers who hasn't done much in Asia. David Warner at the moment is struggling. He's been struggling for a while. So if they wanted to go by stats and numbers, I mean, the big selection call they made was Travis said missing out on
Yeah.
someone else. But if at all they wanted to go ahead um, and make a call, because we know it's going to be a spin heavy attack.
Mm.
Pete Hanscom coming into that attack. Maybe if would have opened instead of Dave Warner as an option, like because statistically all spinners do really well against left-handers out in India, and it's driven by Ashwin. And with the new ball they've given, you have two guys who are, sitting ducks at the moment in Kavaja and Warner. So
Yeah.
um, it's and they missed. I mean, Sri Lanka and also Pakistan gave them some false hope when Australia last toured the subcontinent. There was a lot of draws in uh, Pakistan, and in Sri Lanka they got away in the first
Yeah.
test. Brought a bit of false hope on how to tackle it. India is totally different. You pitchers struggle, SG ball, quality players,
Mm.
the noise, everything goes against them. So, and you're right, there's a lot of noise, but the noise is directed not around the game at the moment, it's everything else. Wickets, how they're settling in, little things like that. In coming back to the topic of pitch, I mean, they're rubbing it in by, highlighting certain areas to whatnot. But um, it's that it's always been the case where, you're playing against a quality side, and it's gonna take spin.
Mm.
So Australia came in knowing for that, but they seem to be juggling everything suddenly.
Yeah. I think more you talk about the pitch, Vara, I think more that goes into your head, and you have demons in your head even before a ball being bowled. When a team comes to Australia, Australia used to play these mind games with their best batsman. McGrath will come out and give a statement saying that, oh, I'll get Lara out um, in second sleep or something, then he'll go out and do it. Well, this is the same thing what's happening in India. I like it. I like it's good for the game. It keeps it interesting.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of doctored pitches. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying it should be
yeah,
fair both ways.
yeah,
If you're allowed to prepare green tops, like I had a look at the pitch in New Zealand, and it looks green as, and
yeah,
obviously they had some bad weather, and they had to have that pitch covered for a few days. But different places, different conditions. So that's what
How
Test cricket is all about.
even like Australia, like yeah, doctor pitch everything, but they managed to win the toss and bat. So at
Yeah,
least you get a advantage to use the pitch on two of its best days. Bat on, lost the plot there. India worked through. I mean, Jadeja is a star. We've always spoke highly of him, and I think the stats to international. Um, I think the international circuit, what's been talked about is recognizing how good the player he is. He's coming back from injury, and he stood tall and performed when it was needed. So
yeah,
um, that's the quality side in India. I think they are even moving grounds and playing in certain game venues where it's just Australia has just struggled. So there was a stat I was reading. I think India has lost only two test matches in a number of years playing at home.
yeah.
So
I was going to
um,
mention that, Bora. This is from I saw this a tweet from Tim Wigmore. In the
yeah,
last decade, playing India away is up there with the greatest challenges ever in Test cricket. Since 2013, India won 35 out of 43 home tests, losing
yeah,
just two, and 15 of those wins have been by an
yeah.
innings.
They're a different beast in their condition. We say it's hard to come and play in goal and stuff like India is next level. Like Sri
Yeah.
Lanka, I don't think has won a series ever in India. I don't know if we've ever won a test match even. That's how much it has been. So um, Australia, I think traveling out there, it's a hard one. Bit of you gotta sometimes bite the bullet, go in there, struggle through, and come out. If even if you manage to get a draw or something, that's a really good win. That's something
Mm.
uh, they've missed a beat this time traveling out there, with their chest puffed out, thinking it might be a easy one. So
Well, in their words, they said it's their best chance to beat India in India after a long time. So, but it's easy to
yeah.
say, but it's a different thing when you go out there and try to do it.
Out coming back to the team, Cameron Green coming in to the side, he's gonna play a big part because
Yep.
I mean, tries to, and I'd like to see him play. He did well in Sri Lanka. A lot of expectations around him. Him coming into this team is a good addition. They'll have to swap someone at the top order and play the spinner. So
Yep.
Stark's gonna be ready.
Mm.
Um, that means how do you manage it? Like, does Cummins sit out as well? Because you need two quicks and the spin, three spinners. Because Green, Stark, Cummins, again, that's a long. You don't need that many fast bowlers. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
wonder how they play that kind of combination now.
Yeah, I don't see captain sitting out, Bora. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it'll be
Boland
interesting.
goes out.
Yeah,
Todd Murphy,
definitely.
Nate Lyon. Um, then you got Stark,
Mm.
and they're missing the third spinner, which is who do they play the third spinner? So it's a tough one. So at least if we go,
With head,
um,
if you go
yeah,
with head, you have that spinning option, but
but
yeah,
it's all three right arm
all
off
spinning.
spinners.
Mm.
So yeah, to
Then
bring in,
Labuschagne has to bowl a bit.
like a Ega or Kuhneman who's flown
Oh,
out
yeah.
there, they'll have to make the call of playing Green and Cummins, keep Stark out. Um, and play the three spinners, or do you go Stark because of the reverse swing left arm factor and does Cummins not play because Green can do the job of that second seamer? So um,
Tough
yeah,
decision.
well, tough decisions. So but they'll
Yeah.
have to make something out of it, but
Mm.
that's something for them to work on. Whilst we're talking on selection headaches. Sri Lanka's got its own headaches, or at least they're thinking about it. Angelo Matthews, seems to be
Yes.
someone they're considering. So they've included him into the Lions one day game as an option to see, all right, where his skill sets are. So he played a game which was played today. I didn't think he scored much runs.
Got out for 13.
Yeah, but he is in the mix for the World Cup, and I
Yeah.
think I like giving him a go at this level. I know he doesn't have a lot to prove, but in terms of his match fitness, movements, how he is coping, that's a good way to assess that. Because we don't have a lot of ODI cricket to pick from.
Yeah, I think we talked about this in the early episode with the new selectors. We might see a few of the older players coming back into the team. So there's a few more games in that Lions tour. So we keep an eye on how he goes. Obviously, he's going to play all the games. Unlike, I hate this when this happens. You know, when I was in the A team, or when you select a squad to play that tour, then the selectors will send few players from the national squad to get some match practice. And
Yeah,
there's
when
about 20 people in a squad, and there's
yeah,
like what, 3-4 games.
yeah,
And the players
and they're
who
trying to
originally
trying
who
to
got
play and
selected
perform.
originally, they don't get a go. And I hate that when that happens. But
Yeah,
yeah, what can you do? Like, it is what it is. Um, Talking about quality cricket, there's loads of T20 circuit cricket happening. South African T20 just finished. Kusal
yeah,
Mendes had a good time there. He looked
correct.
really good there. He was playing his shots. I can't say he's back to where he was, but you can see he's nearly there. So, which is good signs for us. Wanindu did well in UAE with the bat and the ball. Our white ball cricketers are getting a good run. Dasun Shanaka, he's in Bangladesh now. PSL has started. I saw Banuka went from UAE to Bangladesh. Then he's in Pakistan now. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's good signs for us. They at least they're playing some good cricket around the world, but I can't keep track of all these leagues, Bora. I'm looking forward to watch Test cricket. Got 2 Test matches this week: India, Australia, and New Zealand, England. So I'm looking forward to watch those two.
yeah, you're right. I think Test cricket's where things are at. Um, I'm a Test match watcher as well, so keep an eye out what's happening there. Any questions to wrap up today's
Yeah.
show?
Before we wrap up, there's a few questions. Let's try to get through a couple of them. Alex from Melbourne, been listening to your pod for a few months now and absolutely loving it. Any tips for the wicket keepers? Bora, you and
Watching ball
I, we are
closely.
both are not wicket keepers, so it's a tough one. We might have to get a wicket keeper on and have a chat
Yeah,
about wicket keeping tips, Bora.
yeah. If Alex been in Melbourne, a good Instagram page to follow is Cricket Appeal. Ash Doolan's coaching setup
Yes.
is Sid Days, but he's a wicket keeper, one of the best keepers going around. Uh, Listening in to him, it's watching the ball, always following it, getting it closely. But as a keeper, he'll always have his hands in front of his eyes, and then he'll bring the ball in. So um, I guess, and he's a hard person who'll always say, make sure you're getting in a lot of catches, making having the feel of the ball in your gloves a lot more. That's his secret, doing that hard work in. So, yeah, in terms of a good guide or direction, that's the person to reach out to.
Yeah. There's another. I just remembered. There's another profile on Twitter. It's called the Wicket Keeping Coach. I think he's
Yeah.
from England. I think he's based in England. He's a coach based in England. He's got some like really good drills to like distract the wicket keeper and like obstacles and
Yeah.
like deviations. He's got some really cool drills. You check that out. We'll add that into our show notes. I'll add the link to his Twitter profile. He's got some videos. He's working with lots of young wicket keepers. Yeah, I'll add that link in the show notes, and you can check that out as well, Alex. And in the meantime, we'll try to get hold of a wicket keeper to have a chat and give us some tips about wicket keeping. Maybe yeah, that's a future episode for us, Bora. We'll mark that down.
We've had a good chat. Sri Lanka cricket's been a bit quiet in terms of what the guys are doing out there. We'll keep an eye out on the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Baseball's going to be tested in New Zealand.
Yeah.
How they about their cricket. Those are a few areas to keep an eye out.
Keep sending your questions to srilankancricketpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, we'll catch up in a week's time and we talk more about cricket.
Thanks for listening in, everyone. Cheers for today.
Thank you. Bye bye.